What if everything you know about your reality is just a shadow of what truly exists? What if your spiritual awakening is directly linked to a civilization lost in time? Atlantis, a name shrouded in mystery, ancient knowledge, and a power many say is dormant within us. But why did this civilization disappear? What does it have to do with our spiritual evolution? And, more importantly, are we repeating the same mistakes that led to its downfall? If you feel that there's more to reality than we've been told, if you want to access hidden truths and expand your consciousness, then stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to hear could transform the way you see your spiritual journey. Since ancient times, Atlantis has been one of humanity's greatest enigmas. To some, it's just a legend. To others, it's a forgotten past, buried deep beneath the ocean and within our very consciousness. But no matter what you believe, there's something undeniable. The ancient knowledge of this civilization still resonates today. But what's the connection between Atlantis and spirituality? How can this lost civilization influence our journey of evolution? Think about it. How many times have you felt stuck in past patterns? That, no matter how hard you tried to change, something inside you resisted? Like an old version of yourself, shaped by limiting beliefs, insisted on keeping you in the same place? What if I told you that this cycle of stagnation has a much deeper explanation? That there are invisible forces, both within us and in the collective, shaping the way we evolve spiritually? The story of Atlantis offers valuable reflections on this. Many spiritual traditions suggest that the Atlanteans possessed an advanced level of consciousness, connected to higher dimensions and universal laws. However, when they set aside wisdom and succumbed to ego and unchecked power, their civilization collapsed. Now look around you. Are we repeating this same pattern? As individuals and as a species, are we about to face the same fate? In this video, we'll explore the connections between Atlantis, the Akashic Records, the Age of Aquarius, and the spiritual awakening of humanity. By the end, you'll have a new perspective on your own journey, because perhaps the key to our evolution isn't just in the future, but in the past we've forgotten. Throughout history, many accounts describe Atlantis as an extremely advanced civilization, not just in technology, but mainly in spirituality. The Atlanteans, according to various esoteric traditions, mastered the manipulation of energy, understood universal laws, and had a direct connection to higher planes of consciousness. Have you ever heard of the Akashic Records? For some spiritual paths, these records are like a vast cosmic library, storing all the memories of the universe. Many believe that the priests and sages of Atlantis had direct access to this ancient knowledge, enabling them to develop extraordinary abilities. But what really made this civilization so special? Reports indicate that the Atlanteans lived in a society where spiritual growth was the priority. They understood that consciousness is the key to shaping reality, something we're beginning to rediscover today through studies in quantum physics and spirituality. The Greek philosopher Plato, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, described Atlantis as an incomparable power, with temples of gold and crystal, where its inhabitants possessed wisdom beyond our current comprehension. Did he just create this story, or was he revealing an ancient secret meant to be remembered only at the right time? If the Atlanteans really existed and reached such a level of evolution, the question remains, why did their civilization disappear? If Atlantis was such a spiritually advanced civilization, why did it vanish? This is one of the great mysteries surrounding its history. Many esoteric traditions claim that the fall of Atlantis wasn't solely caused by natural disasters, but by internal decay. The pursuit of power and the irresponsible use of ancient knowledge is said to have led the Atlanteans into decline. Over time, part of society began to drift away from spiritual principles and used their knowledge for selfish purposes. Instead of evolution, they chose domination. Instead of consciousness, they opted for control. This makes us reflect on our own society. Are we repeating the same mistakes? We're advancing technologically, but are we evolving spiritually? Today, we have artificial intelligence, scientific breakthroughs, and unprecedented access to information, but we still deal with wars, inequality, and environmental destruction. If we look to history, we see that all great civilizations that fell had something in common. They forgot that true power comes from the harmony between knowledge and wisdom, between matter and spirit. Atlantis would have fallen precisely because it lost that balance. But what if the legacy of the Atlanteans is still alive, hidden between the lines of our own evolution? What if we have a second chance to do things differently? If the story of Atlantis carries a warning about the dangers of spiritual disconnection, it also holds a valuable lesson. Wisdom never truly disappears, it just transforms. Many scholars of the occult believe that Atlantean knowledge didn't vanish with the fall of the civilization. Instead, it was preserved by initiates and carried to different parts of the world. This would explain the similarities between spiritual traditions of seemingly disconnected cultures, like the Egyptians, the Mayans, and even some Western mystery schools. The question is, are we ready to reclaim this wisdom? Throughout history, we've found traces of what might be this Atlantean knowledge. Egypt itself, for example, is often cited as one of the greatest heirs to this tradition. Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure associated with esoteric wisdom, is said to have been one of the great guardians of this knowledge. Hermeticism, which influenced various philosophical and spiritual movements, holds teachings that echo the principles of an advanced society that deeply understood the laws of the universe. But this wisdom isn't limited to the past. Today, more than ever, humanity is seeking spiritual awakening. Terms like consciousness expansion, energetic connection, and vibrational frequency are becoming increasingly present in our daily lives. It's as though, little by little, we're remembering something we already knew. And you? Do you feel that call to access knowledge that goes beyond what we've been taught? We're living through an unprecedented planetary transition. Many spiritualists and scholars talk about the arrival of the Age of Aquarius, a period when humanity will undergo a profound shift in consciousness. But what does this have to do with Atlantis? The Age of Aquarius is seen as the opportunity to retrieve the lost and integrated knowledge of past civilizations, like that of Atlantis. For many, this is the perfect time to bring to light what has been forgotten and steer spiritual evolution on Earth in a new direction. However, it's important to highlight that this retrieval isn't simply a return to the past. The Age of Aquarius invites us to integrate ancient wisdom with a new, more mature, and responsible consciousness. Unlike the Atlanteans, who failed by ignoring the consequences of their own egos, humanity today has the chance to balance material evolution with spiritual growth. The great key of this new cycle is consciousness, the awareness that, in order to evolve as human beings, we need to align our spiritual knowledge with our actions. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, the planet of innovation, but also of revolution. We are being called to reevaluate our relationship with the world with nature, and, above all, with ourselves. Are we ready to seize this opportunity and not repeat the mistakes of Atlantis? Or will we continue in a cycle of destruction and forgetting? The choice is in our hands. The transition has already begun, and with it comes the possibility of a collective spiritual awakening. Now, let's explore a fascinating idea that links Atlantis to our own spiritual evolution, the Akashic Records. Many spiritual traditions talk about a universal library where all of humanity's knowledge is stored, in an energetic dimension. Known as the Akashic Records, these records are the cosmic memory of all events, thoughts, and experiences of humanity. Some spiritualists believe that the Akashic Records hold the memories of Atlantis, as though the wisdom of that civilization was subtly and energetically recorded in this universal bank of knowledge. By accessing these records, we could recover not only the lessons of Atlantis, but also teachings that can guide us into a new era of spiritual evolution. However, accessing this knowledge isn't something to be done superficially. Connecting with the Akashic Records requires a true inner search, an expansion of consciousness. Some people report feeling a strong connection to the lost knowledge of Atlantis intuitively, like a deep calling that arises in their hearts. Others turn to spiritual practices, like deep meditation or Reiki, to access these records and begin to understand more about their mission in this life. If you feel there's something deeper and transformative waiting to be revealed to you, maybe it's time to look within and seek that connection with the Akashic Records. The answers you're looking for might be closer than you think, stored in the memories that span across time, from the age of Atlantis to the present moment. Are you ready to listen and understand these signs from the universe? No matter how we interpret the story of Atlantis, whether as a real civilization or a deep metaphor, what matters is the ongoing impact of its teachings on our current spirituality. The wisdom that, according to many traditions, originated from this lost civilization remains alive in modern spiritual practices, guiding humanity in its quest for self-knowledge and consciousness elevation. Today, practices like meditation, connecting with universal energies, seeking consciousness expansion, and even Reiki can be seen as direct bridges to this ancient knowledge. Understanding universal laws, the ability to access higher levels of perception, and the deep understanding that we are energetic and spiritual beings isn't something new. These practices, though they seem modern, have much older roots and possibly connect us with what Atlantis represented. A civilization that understood true evolution comes from balancing the material and the spiritual. The influence of Atlantis also echoes in esoteric philosophies like Hermeticism, which is essentially a blend of science, spirituality, and self-knowledge. Many scholars believe that these philosophies, preserved over time, are fragments of Atlantean wisdom. By studying these traditions, we can uncover ways to apply Atlantean principles in our own lives, seeking true spiritual evolution. Furthermore, there are those who believe that the collective spiritual awakening of humanity, especially in times like today, when we're experiencing a great transformation, is a repetition of Atlantis' journey, but with the crucial lesson of not making the same mistakes. The question now is how we will use the power of spiritual knowledge available to us. Are we ready to use it wisely? Will we find balance between technology and spirituality, ensuring that our evolution truly leads to the greater good? These questions are constant challenges each one of us must face. As individuals and as a society, we have the opportunity to create a new reality, one more connected to the greater purpose of our existence. And perhaps that's what the spiritual awakening, inspired by Atlantis, is calling us to do. Not repeat the mistakes of the past, but integrate ancient knowledge in a way that leads us to a new level of evolution. Atlantis, with all its wisdom and mystery, remains a key for reflecting on our own path of spiritual evolution. Even if the existence of the civilization is wrapped in uncertainties, the legacy of its teachings transcends time and challenges us to go beyond the limits of our own perception. Instead of only looking to the past, it's time to ask ourselves, how can we use Atlantean knowledge for our own transformation? Each one of us carries within us an immense potential for evolution. Spiritual awakening is often a process of reclaiming forgotten wisdom, of accessing deep parts of ourselves that are sometimes hidden. It's no wonder that we often feel an intuitive connection to something greater, something that transcends the limitations of everyday life. The ancient wisdom of Atlantis, with its connection between consciousness and energy, invites us to dive into this wisdom to light our journey. Now, the big question is, what will we do with it? Are we willing to embrace our spiritual evolution responsibly? Will we seek the balance between technology and spirituality, just as the Atlanteans should have? The answer is in our hands, and the time to act is now. The Age of Aquarius has arrived, and with it, the opportunity to transform not just our lives, but the world around us. If this content made sense to you, share it with someone who may also benefit from this message. Leave your comment and subscribe for more reflections on spirituality and personal development. Thank you for being here. If these words resonated with you, I invite you to take the next step on this journey of self-discovery. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue this path of spiritual growth with us. Share your experiences with the reality you live in. Is it real? How has it been a guide for your own awakening? Let's grow together, not just in mind, but in heart. And if you want to dive deeper into this process, watch our video, Create Your Reality, Transform Thoughts into Power, which will help you understand more about how reality manifests. Peace and light.